Congressman Brian Bilbray does not support President Obama's new policy directive. He joins me now from Washington, D.C. via Skype. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you.
In a statement Friday, you called the new policy a backdoor to amnesty. What would you suggest should happen to the nearly 1 million young people who came to the U.S. as children?
I say, first of all, we've got to make sure we don't attract another 1 million or 2 million by finally addressing the real problem instead of continuing to treat the symptoms, causing a lot of deaths along our border. You know, we could all, Democrats, Republicans, could finally just crack down on the real bad guys here. And these are the employers who are exploiting illegal labor. And I just wish that the people that are talking about this would have to go down the border and recover bodies like I have. You know, everybody in the world is listening to the President of the United States, and he has just announced that if you send your children to the United States illegally, that he will make sure that they're accommodated and they're given a work permit. This is the kind of thing that we need, the last thing we need to do right now. And got to remember, it wasn't that many months ago that we busted a big smuggling ring for kids in Phoenix, and where they were holding the kids hostage after the parents had paid for the kids to be smuggled in.
But Congressman, what do you do, though? The fact is, you've got 800,000 people, 800,000 young people who this would apply to. What do you do with those kids now who are in university, who've graduated, who can't work here legally? What do you do?
You stop sending mixed messages.
But do you deport them? Do you not give them work permits? What do you do?
What you don't deport them, but what you do is you don't invite another generation of illegal immigrants being sent in here, because you've just announced that America will accommodate the illegal immigration problem one way or the other, regardless, and ignore the fact that the enforcement on the real source, and that's the employment problem, needs to be addressed. And Democrats and Republicans, both sides, are guilty on this. They'll talk about border control. They'll talk about accommodating those who are illegally in the country, but they won't talk about cracking down on the illegal employers. So you can then talk about what do you do with those who are left in the country after you finally have shut down the illegal flow.
Now,
let me just say this. The people that would think that this would help the problem are the type of individuals who would think that drilling a hole in the bottom of a boat will drain the water out. What you're going to do now is create a whole new incentive for people to send their children illegally into this country. Once we stop the illegal flow and mostly stop the illegal employers, then we can talk about all kinds of great ideas. But until we do that, all we're doing is adding to the problem, not reducing it, at a huge human cost, too. Remember, hundreds of people die every year trying to come into this country illegally, including children.
Now, Congressman, this was not an act of Congress. This was instead an executive order. That means a new administration could undo this. So if you were reelected and Mitt Romney is president, would you ask him to undo this policy?
Look, this act is so far over the reasonable constitutional limitations. This may be the kind of thing that somebody does in governors in Chicago may do, but this is totally far beyond the constitutional responsibility of the president. If the president believes that he has the right to pick and choose when to stop enforcing the law, why doesn't he give amnesty to the medical drug clinics in California that he's been cracking down on, while he's given waivers? He has not been doing the same kind of enforcement in Colorado. Could it be because Colorado is a swing political state and that the politics takes precedence over the Constitution or legal enforcement? The president isn't waiving enforcement on those medical clinics in California, and if he claims he has the right to do this for one group, why isn't he doing it for other groups too? This is really getting down to a 14th Amendment issue of equal protection on the law. Does the executive branch believe that they have the right to veto or to ignore laws at will or pass legislation at will out of the White House? Why have Congress if you're going to do that? And I guess his argument is that he thinks that Congress doesn't matter and that the White House should have all this power. And now all I got to say is if he thinks he's got this latitude, why isn't he executing the same latitude and not arresting people for having medical marijuana clinics in California?
Congressman, I want to get this on the record because we haven't got a lot of time left. I know in your statement on Friday you also said that this might be a violation of the law. So will you, if reelected and there's a new administration, ask the new administration to undo this policy, to reverse this policy?
I absolutely want the law enforced until Congress changes it. That is what the Constitution says. That is what Brian Bilbray and the president swore to uphold.
Congressman Bilbray, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.